What is up, RotoGrinders? We're back. We're back. Early Slate is just winding down. I think it's done. Did not go well for your boy. We're gonna get a few bucks back, but definitely in. What is it? Is it Kyle? Is it in the red or in the black? In the red is bad, right? In the black is good, I think.
Yeah, black is good.
Okay, we're in the red, unfortunately, but you know what? We got tonight to redeem ourselves. We're back at zero. Scores are starting all over again. We did lose a game. I went ahead and dropped Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. I dropped his article in the chat for the people there in the YouTube. Do hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things, hit all those buttons. We did lose Atlanta and Philadelphia. Now, Atlanta and Philadelphia was already kicked off the slate by DraftKings, but it was on the FanDuel slate. FanDuel is starting an hour earlier because FanDuel wants us to talk about St. Louis and Baltimore. Officially, St. Louis and Baltimore is yellow, and it looks like Roth is a little bit more optimistic. Basically, he's saying that they would have postponed it, and this is, I'm just summarizing it in his words. They would have already postponed it at this point, is his assumption. So he thinks that they're going to play. Do stay tuned. Weather is fluid, things change, yada, yada. But that St. Louis-Baltimore game probably plays on FanDuel. The DK slate does not start until 7:40. That's why we are on a little bit later. Crunch time coming in about an hour or so. You get Dave Potts, Cheese is Good. You get Kristi as well. Also, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, of course, will be holding that down. Producer extraordinaire, one of the greatest DFS players / producers in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. TJ Zwarich behind the proverbial glass. I'm sure we'll pop it on at some point throughout the show. Kyle Murray, one of the hardest working people here at RG. I did see, I got an alert, Kyle. You knocked out a couple scores and odd stuff right before we went on the air. I did tail your ladder. Maybe if we get enough likes, we'll tell the people what your ladder is. Did you have anything else in the works? I didn't see. I didn't get a chance to look at everything, but I did see. Oh, that looks pretty interesting. I'll have some fun with that.
Yeah, that's the only baseball pick that I'll have, at least for now. Maybe I'll do some more after. Obviously, with NBA going on, that's like my thing for props. So I'm usually head down in the prop streets there, and I play some DFS for MLB because NBA DFS is like dead right now. So that's my first MLB prop in a while. So hopefully the ladder comes through for us. I always like to get a strikeout ladder in there. So hopefully we get the likes and we can tell the people all about that.
Lance McCullers, I imagine, was an outrageous ladder payoff because he had 10 strikeouts, I think. Shades of old. I think it was, did he hit 10? I think he hit 10, maybe 9. He had a lot. Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah, actually, that was the last MLB play that I had. I had his under 4.5 strikeouts. He went for that. So yeah. So
if you're gonna lose, yeah. Now you're gonna redeem yourself. This start or last start as far as McCullers? It was like a previous start.
It was the last one. Yeah, he had 8, I think. Did he pitch again this morning? And then
he pitched today. He had 10 strikeouts today.
Yeah. So that was his last start. Yeah. So
at least 9. I was watching the game and. Kind of a friendly umpire there as well, but let's see. I got Eric in the chat talking about the Rockies almost getting there last night. The Rockies didn't do anything last night, did they? I don't think so. He was touting the Rockies in their 2.5 team total. Do you have any takes on Minnesota OKC happening tonight? I've been monitoring it pretty closely. I've been drafting a lot on underdog with some success some nights and some lack of success other nights. Banked one earlier, like about a week or two ago, so we're playing with the house's money. It's my money. It's mine now. But any general takes as far as OKC Minnesota? Hartenstein's kind of losing minutes. We saw the cousin battle. Alexander Walker was spectacular last game. He's been one of the guys I've been drafting. I don't know how much that's reflecting in the markets, but I think they go back to him once again tonight. And Julius Randle's gotten benched several times. Do you have any official takes? I know we'll talk baseball. Obviously, it's a 5-gamer, 6 on FanDuel. We have plenty of time to knock it out. But if you have anything as far as Minnesota OKC, do the Thunder? Did they end the series? Is it over? Are they champions already? Just crown them already. Indiana's fun, but it's OKC.
Yeah, I think that Pacers team does look a lot better than I probably gave them credit for entering the playoffs. So props to them. I'm selfishly hoping that the Timberwolves extend the series again. Just another game where I can do props and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't want the NBA season to end. That's my jam there. So hopefully the Timberwolves can win there, extend. We need some weekend basketball. Right now, we could have potentially no games on the weekend if both of the current teams with 3 wins close out the next game. So hopefully these teams can extend. I do have like 4 or 5 props up, including a couple prop model plays. So if we want to do some, give those away with the likes, or just give away a couple now, I have some. I do have one on Nikhil Alexander Walker. So yeah, plenty of NBA props.
I hope it's an over.
It is an over, yes.
What do you got? I just pulled it up right now. You got him over 9.5 points. That's what I'm seeing. Is that where the market is at? Like minus 111, minus 115. I guess it's moved up a little bit. Are we still good at minus 115?
Yep, still good at minus 115. Honestly, this is another one that I think you could also take like 15 plus points. I think last time I checked, that was like plus 320 on FanDuel. I didn't look to see where the best number was, so I'm pretty sure you could probably find a better number as well there. Plus 345 on Fanatics, plus 340 on MGM. So 15 plus for Nikhil Alexander Walker as well. Those are some bets that I like for him tonight.
You're talking about there's a chance of no basketball this weekend. There's also a chance of no hockey this weekend. Both hockey series, I believe, are 3-1. I know Florida taking on Carolina is 3-1. Hopefully they close it out tonight for my Panthers. And then Edmonton and Dallas, I believe, are 3-1 as well. That would be terrible. And then I don't want to, we're going to hear it, but like if we get OKC Indiana, oh my God, the ratings, the league is so upset. The league is rigged, and they rigged it for OKC and Indiana because they know that's what's going to really sell. That's going to bring in all the marketing.
Yeah,
well, it doesn't quite check out, but okay. All right, let's talk about tonight's slate. I do not believe we have a team total above 5, right? I think the Yankees were close. I had to jump back. I was in the basketball page there for a second. Let's see. Team totals above 5. That's kind of like the watermark. Seattle close to 5 against Trevor Williams, which is a pretty big number considering that ballpark, but they've been pretty good in that ballpark. And also Kyle Rowley, big dumper. Dumped 2 balls over the wall last night. Just cannot stop. Out of his mind these days. Yeah, the Yankees actually jumped up a little bit over 5 now, taking on Kikuchi. We did get Corey Seager back. We have an opener for Toronto. Paxton Schultz is opening up for Toronto. So they're opening with a righty. The presumption is that Lauer is going to come in as the long man. The lefty, he hasn't pitched like in 4 or 5 days or so, which kind of makes sense. He's going to be the long man, but do note there's an opener there. You cannot play him, I don't think, right? I wouldn't imagine we're playing Schultz. What do you got, TJ?
I don't think that's a full opener situation. I think it's probably a situation where both guys might get like 4 innings.
Piggyback?
Yeah. So at 4K, I'm not saying to play him either way, but I don't think he's an automatic scratch off. He's an opener. Don't consider him type of thing. Like his last outing out of the pen, he pitched over 4 innings and had 8 strikeouts. And so it might be a situation where it's opening, but if he's pitching really well, they just don't take him out. But as soon as he struggles, that's when they put Lauer in.
He threw an inning on the 24th, so that's 4 days ago, and he threw 3 innings on the 25th. So, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. He is 4K, which I guess is of note. Maybe we'll get a take there from Kyle. I'm curious what our pitches projection is. Top of my head, I would say like 40-ish. I don't know if that's enough to make things work. Where do we have his projection for pitches?
Looks like
66. That seems like more than that's more than 40-ish. But okay.
Yeah. It also looks like I don't know if we're technically allowed to give this out, but Cardi has him at 45. So you know what? Sue me.
I was just gonna ask. What I like to do in that kind of situation is I want to see if they both have, and I'll kind of middle it. Yeah. And look, if you're gonna ask me to bet which one is more accurate in this particular instance, I would lean with the bet. But I'm just guessing, and I think there's a lot of guesswork there. And he is 4K, and whenever there's a 4K pitcher who can go 4 innings, maybe if they're efficient. Also facing a terrible Texas team, massively disappointing. They are getting Seager back, so I guess that's of note. Curious to get your thoughts. And again, on FanDuel, we'll do our best to include the FanDuel game. St. Louis and the Cardinals. Michael is taking on Cade Povich. Again, Atlanta, Philadelphia. That is no longer. That got rained out. And if you're expecting, I guess it's already gone, right? The Mets and the White Sox, they played earlier in the afternoon. They moved it around for weather reasons. So 5 on DK, 6 on FanDuel. What is your screenshot, your overview? How are you seeing things?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like every time I'm doing the show with you, we don't really ever get like a really strong pitching slate. So again, there's no clear top dogs. Hunter Green is on the slate again, but definitely not a juicy matchup for him at all. I believe last time, or maybe not last time, but 2 times ago when I did the show with you, he got banged up. So it's been a little bit of a tough go for Green as of late. Had the rough start there against the Cubs, I believe, last time out. So, yeah, he's the top guy price-wise, but not projection-wise. We do have Matthew Boyd ahead of him projection-wise. I think that's a totally reasonable projection. According to Ross Weather, the wind in Wrigley is not as dramatic today, but it is slightly in. But it's not like I think he called it suppressing the home runs like it has been the past couple days, which seems reasonable to me. But great matchup for Matthew Boyd. His strikeout prop is 7.5. It is plus money at 7.5, and then on the books with 6.5, it's I think like minus 160, minus 170. So looks like the books are projecting Matthew Boyd for like 7 strikeouts. So if he gets there, obviously that is plenty serviceable enough for the 8.3 price tag. So it looks like Matthew Boyd is the de facto top pitcher on the slate today from a projection standpoint, pretty much across the industry and across the books as well. So great matchup there against Colorado. And then a couple other guys that we'll touch on as well. Noah Cameron, Tyler Mahle, these guys are, or George Kirby at least in play, but not a ton of value guys. So maybe that does at least bring in the idea of Paxton Schultz. I would agree that 65 pitches seems like a lot. And I do think that the uncertainty enough is worth, downgrading him, and obviously Lauer as well. So not a ton of value. So it does appear to be one of those slates where you're probably going to be looking at 2 pitchers above, 7K or so to start your lineups on DraftKings.
You talk about the Boyd thing. I just want to mention, you talk about Roth and Weather Edge. It's not really dramatic, right, as far as that win. However, Weather Edge, pretty big sample size, 94 games. That's a pretty good chunk. 56th attempt, the wind blowing in from 6 miles per hour from left center, 29% decrease in homers in that instance, 12% decrease in runs. Like you said, probably not as bad as it has been the last several days. We've talked about the other day. Did you see PCA's the ball? He just couldn't believe it. He's like staring. He's like, how did that ball not go out? Yeah. And it wasn't even that close. It wasn't like it hit the wall. I think it was caught on the warning track.
Yeah, like the front of the track. Yeah.
Yeah, like right in the front of the track. And he's just like, how? Like the hitters know. They know when they hit it, like when it's gone. And he's just like, that had to be gone. How did that not go? He hasn't quite figured out exactly how that goes down sometimes in Chicago. And I pulled up Plate IQ for this season and last season. Matthew Boyd taking on this Rockies team. So these guys against lefties, dating back to last season, there are 2 players in the green, and good for them as far as strikeouts. Freeman at 14%, Farmer at 18%. But you have Beck leading off, striking out 38% of the time. Tovar 28%, Goodman 29, McMahon 30, Toglia 28, and Mickey Moniak 32%. Collectively, over 27%. Boyd, the lefty, left on left, he's striking out 24% this season, 23% in righties. It's not the greatest numbers, but it's positive.
Can I pop in for something quick?
Yeah, what do you got?
We had some questions in chat about the weather in St. Louis and Baltimore. And I know you did post Ross weather report there, but I just talked to him. We will get him in a little bit early at like 6:25 just to give that weather report on that game.
Yeah. I don't know if things are changing or not changing, but again, I dropped it in chat. And basically he says that more rain earlier than late, but I think they can play 9 without problems. Chile wins in from right to left. And he also said essentially if they're going to call this game, they would have. I believe earlier in the day, he wrote something about something to the effect of these 2 teams are okay with not playing the game and playing tomorrow. But I guess that's changed because as of now, nothing has been said as far as the game potentially getting called. And we're assuming it's going to go, but Roth will give some more clarity. Do not go by me. I'm just regurgitating what he's saying. Ownership wise, I'm a little surprised to some degree that Schmidt is I guess it's price, right? He's 7-7. Yeah. We're showing him as the most popular pitcher right now at 55%, 52% on DK with Green at 39% and Boyd in 38. I personally thought it would be Green, Boyd, and then Schmidt third. That's just me, but the machine is smarter than I am. Kirby, who is not good in his first start, you're getting kind of a discount at 8.5, and his velocity was fine, and he threw over 80 pitches. I don't know how much they're going to push him, but I would play Kirby before I play Clark Schmidt, I think. I don't know if that's wrong, but I just think he's a better pitcher. I think we can agree on that. I don't know if he's fully 100% the George Kirby we've known. But like Tim Anderson was DFA'd for the Angels. I don't know if you saw that, but they're moving on. So that's a downgrade to Clark Schmidt. Tim Anderson not going to be in the Angels lineup tonight. I don't know if it's been released just yet. Oh, it has. And he is well, they got Chris Taylor. So, right, what's the kind of? I guess it's a slight upgrade, I suppose. World Series hero Chris Taylor, right? Didn't he have a homer, a walk off in the World Series? Good for him.
Yep.
Your thoughts as far as Kirby and is Schmidt really going to be this chalky? Because I don't like that at 52%. Playable, sure, but Clark Schmidt as the chalk, the full chalk.
Yeah, I do think 52 probably seems a bit aggressive, but I do think that he'll probably be the guy sub 8K. Like he'll probably be like the SP2 if people aren't double spending up, I suppose, like Green and Boyd, which I do think Green and Boyd will probably still be the most popular duo or combination. But I do think that if people are looking outside of that pair, I do think Clark Schmidt will probably be third in terms of ownership. So while 50 might be high, I still think he will be chalk to at least some extent, but maybe not 50%.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Noah Cameron, who you may or may not have written up earlier, somebody you like in the props streets. He's been good so far. Taking on Cincinnati. Your thoughts as far as him? 5% basically as far as the ownership. Molly at 7%. We know he's had a really good season, kind of an overachiever if you start digging into some stuff as far as Tyler Molly. A 1.8 ERA, a 4.49 Sierra, the BABIP at 230, the left on base 84%. The home run, the fly ball at 3.2%. Like that has to. There's just no way. Nobody has that big a horseshoe. It's really, really tough to make that work at 3.2%. That should at some point correct itself. I don't think I'm in Toronto's. I didn't look at their lineup today specifically as far as striking out, but I know in the season they've been pretty good at making contact, if nothing else. 18.7% as far as this lineup today, outside of Varsho and Sanchez in a small sample. Barger as well, but it's a pretty contact-heavy lineup, so I don't really love it. Big splits for Molly when it comes to strikeouts, by the way, 24% versus lefties, 14% versus righties. Does that continue? I think that continues as far as last season as well in a really small sample. Are we calling Molly reverse splits, or is this like a small sample deal?
Yeah, I would say it's probably some small sample, but I would have to go back and see like his pre-injury numbers there. But yeah, I think it's probably mostly a small reverse splits deal.
Cardi's calling him reverse. So if you look at the bat, one of the things we reference Cardi's the bat, and he just kind of like has like he'll let you know like just in a word basically. It'll say like large split, neutral, small, that kind of thing. And Cardi's calling him a reverse for what it's worth. Okay. And he's facing 4 lefties. Give me the other pitchers that we're interested in. Do you like Molly? I don't believe the numbers. I think it's kind of fraudulent. It's not that much more for guys like Hunter Green, who I just believe in that fastball. I believe in the strikeouts. 32.6%, the biggest K rate on the slate by far, if we're not counting Schultz, which for what it's worth, Schultz is pretty good as far as strikeouts, a 14% swinging strikeout rate. So I know we kind of brushed over it, but if he does throw like 4 innings, he could possibly strike out like 5 or 6. It gets you Aaron Judge pretty easily. If that's something you want to do. I don't know. I haven't really have a complete thought on Schultz. I thought he was going to go maybe 3 or 4 innings tops. And even that might be good enough if he gets enough Ks, but that's probably large field stuff. That's kind of where I'm at on it. Did you give me an official Kirby take? I know I threw a bunch of pictures at you. My apologies, but whatever one stood out to you. What do you got?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty small slate without a ton of excellent pitching options. We don't have any of like the Scoobles, the Skeens, or anything on the slate. So I think you can do a lot of different things, especially considering Matthew Boyd, Hunter Green, 2 good pitchers, but they can be volatile at times. So when these guys are the chalk, I think you can really, especially if you're someone who builds 150 lineups, I think you can pretty much include most of the slate. Like for me, if I was doing 150, I'm not tonight, but if I was, I would get rid of Trevor Williams, get rid of Paxton Schultz. Most likely he might be a guy that I maybe want to get in depending on what the build looks like. And then I'd probably get rid of Tanner Gordon. The rest of these guys, I'm happy to at least consider in builds. Even Yusei Kikuchi, tough matchup. But he the Yankees do are a little bit of a bump down because they're not playing in their home field minor league ballpark. So that's going to be a plus for Kikuchi. But Noah Cameron is a guy who I like quite a bit, and I think you can kind of loop him and George Kirby and even Tyler Mahle into the same sort of category, right? They're all in the same price. For me, Mahle has the most difficult matchup of these guys, so he's going to be third in that group. Cameron's going to be my favorite just because I think he's more likely to, exceed expectations from a pitch count perspective than George Kirby. Obviously, for Noah Cameron, he's just a young guy. He's only made 3 starts so far this season, but Kirby, he's returning from an injury. He's only had 1 start so far this season. And I do like Noah Cameron's strikeout matchup more as well. So I do like Cameron quite a bit at 8-8. I think he's, in my opinion, the ultimate leverage pitcher on this slate. Like, for example, he's going against Hunter Greene. So if it's a game where the Royals win, that's points that he's taking off of Hunter Greene's plate and applying to himself as long as he can get through 5 and get the win. So, yeah, Noah Cameron, we have projected for 5% ownership. I guess I can get into now why I like him from a strikeout perspective, but I think for Cameron, he's the one pitcher on this slate that I think is most due for positive regression. When you look at his numbers so far this season, in terms of his just raw production, right? What he's put into the box scores so far this season. Last start finally had a good strikeout game, 8 strikeouts, but before that, just 2 games with 3 strikeouts in each of those games. So again, you look at those 2 first starts box score wise, people probably aren't chopping at the bit to roster this guy. But when you look at his underlying numbers, let's talk about his minor league numbers. He's right around 11K per 9 in the minors. Obviously, sometimes those numbers don't translate perfectly to the MLB. It can be a tough transition for those guys, but still good numbers there in the minors from a strikeout perspective. And so far this season, only a 20% strikeout rate, but a 29% CSW, which just for context, that is the same number as Paul Skeens. That's a number higher than Hunter Greene, who's at about 28% CSW, which is called strike plus whiff rate, which essentially is how often you're generating true strikes. So when you look at Noah Cameron, again, very small sample, but a 30 or 29% CSW rate compared to just that 20% strikeout rate, that tells me that there's some room for positive regression for Noah Cameron strikeouts. And then when you look at the matchup here against the Reds, you got 6 guys in this lineup striking out 23% of the time or more against left-handed pitching. Obviously, when you talk about the power in this lineup, Elly De La Cruz much worse against lefties compared to his power against right-handed pitching. You do have some big bats in here still in Hayes and Stevenson, but the lineup just really takes a little bit of a hit against lefties, mainly because of Elly De La Cruz. So I think Noah Cameron's in a fantastic spot. Love his strikeout prop tonight. Love him for a leverage piece. I don't think he's as safe as Boyd and Hunter Greene because those guys are probably more likely to throw more pitches, and obviously Boyd has a fantastic matchup. But I could really get behind playing Cameron over Hunter Greene straight up just because of the fact that you do get so much leverage, and once you do that, you don't really need to worry about your ownership the rest of the lineup. I think we got you on mute.
My bad. Mute count 1. Amateur hour over here. So Noah Cameron, the only thing is they babying him a little bit. Yeah. 79 pitches, 81 pitches, 82 pitches when he's been awesome, right? I like the CSW, busting out the CSW. Are you also, how far in the weeds do you get? Are you a Stuff Plus guy? I've heard Cheese talk about Stuff Plus sometimes. I think that's, is that Ceros?
Yeah.
I don't really, I see it and I don't really know what to do with it outside of I know what's good and what's bad, but when I see the guys ranked and all that. Is that something you're also in the weeds on as far as Stuff Plus? I was going to reference the swinging strikes and just that metric. Is there a train going on in the background? Am I hearing a train?
Yeah, that's me. I live right by a train track, so yeah, catches up to me sometimes. Apologies.
Okay, no worries. I was I'm fairly certain there wasn't a train by me, and I could have sworn I'm hearing things. I was looking at the swinging strikes on. You're talking about Cameron. 11.2%, and the K's at 19.7%. And I don't know what the official number is, but in my head, it's 2x generally. 2x plus a little pinch. 2x plus a pinch is 2x swinging strikes plus a pinch is kind of what your K rate should be. And it's not quite there as well. So that kind of lines up as well. Let's see. They're talking about cheesecake and funnel cake and Twinkies, all sorts of that actually is going to lead into our tiers in some ways. We will be talking some food in our tiers in a bit. Anybody else we want to mention as far? So FanDuel, we should acknowledge the existence that Cade Povich and Miles Michaelis are throwing baseballs tonight officially, but we're not you wouldn't endorse either. I assume. I don't want to speak for you, but no endorsement there as far as Michaelis or Povich on FanDuel. There's no need, right?
No, definitely not on, especially on FanDuel where you're only rostering one pitcher. So yeah, no need to talk about those guys.
Yeah, cross them off the list.
Officially delayed as well.
Oh, okay. Huh. That's not good because the way Roth was talking about it, that could be turning. Okay. And we'll have Roth come on in about TJ said he's going to jump on a little bit early if possible, around 6:25, give or take. We'll see. But somebody just jumped on the show. Somebody just turned it on for whatever reason. How rude of them. They did not join us at exactly 5:30 in the East Coast. So give them the TLDR. They just jumped on. They want to know. What do you got, TJ?
It's also good news based on Roth's report because he said there's more rain early than late.
That's why I'm not a meteorologist. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, so maybe they're going to try to wait it out. Give me the summary. You want to take a minute or so, Kyle, as far as pitchers. Tell me how you're seeing the slate. I did want to mention before I throw it over to you, I was looking at the Angels lineup, one of the reasons why Schmidt is popping, Clark Schmidt, that is. There are a lot of strikeouts there, 24.9%. There's only 2 guys in the green. Sean Wells, a good contact hitter. Of course, not a lot of pop, but he will, put the ball in play. And Rengifo is 14.7% in a pretty big sample. But otherwise, Chris Taylor and his 32.6% K rate is 103 ISO. The Angels are like, well, wait, Chris Taylor's available? Who's got his Angels number? Give him a call before anybody else scoops him up. There's a lot of strikeouts in that lineup, 24.9% collectively. So I understand why Schmidt will grab some ownership. But he's a pretty good strikeout pitcher, right? 24.2% on the season, sort of neutral as far as the Ks. Basically 24 and 24 left and right. Give me the summary. What do you got?
Yeah, so I do think that still the most common pairing is going to be Boyd and Green. Still, I do think people will probably lean towards that safety, while Clark Schmidt will probably come in that same tier in terms of ownership with those 2 guys as well. Like you mentioned, good matchup for him. And Clark Schmidt is actually atop the leaderboard in terms of swinging strike rate, CSW percentage on this slate since the start of last year. So pretty solid sample as well there, over 120 innings pitched. So not as much as the workhorses. Obviously, Clark Schmidt dealt a little bit of injury, but 30% CSW percent since the start of last season. Really good number there. 25.7% K rate since the start of last season per Fangraph. So, good numbers there. Good strikeout matchup as well. Sure, you do lose Tim Anderson, who someone commented got knocked out of the league by Jose Ramirez, which was very funny there. But you add Chris Taylor.
What are those splits, right? What are the splits of his career pre and post? It's not good. I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, they're definitely not good there. But adding Chris Taylor, 33% strikeout rate since the start of last season against righties. More of a guy who the Dodgers would use against lefties and a guy who can kind of play everywhere on the field. But Boyd, Green, Schmidt, those are probably the top 3 consensus guys. Noah Cameron's my favorite tournament pitcher tonight. I think you can also throw George Kirby into that mix as well. I do think he'll be more popular than Cameron, who we have currently projected at 5%. George Kirby, 28%. I think those are probably the consensus top 5 guys here. If I had to rank those 5, I would probably rank them Boyd, Green, Schmidt, Cameron. Very close to bumping Cameron up that list just because of his, the fact that he's going to be a lot of leverage there at 5% projected ownership. Kirby probably coming in at 5th, and then I think you have a cast of a couple other guys in the mix here: Kikuchi, Tyler Mahle. Those are probably the guys rounding out the group for people who are building, several lineups. But I think for the most part, staying within that top 4 or 5 makes a lot of sense tonight.
We have all the lineups with the exception of the Cubs. No Cubs just yet. They start in 2 hours. Unless that just dropped. I don't think so. Yeah, no Cubs just yet as far as lineups. No Yankees. And, I think we just got Washington not too long ago. But I guess that's it. Just those 2 games. Apparently, O'Neill Cruz banged out a cruise missile I saw in chat. That dude is amazing. I don't know if you saw the home run he hit the other day, 122.9 miles per hour off the bat.
Rocket.
It went out of the stadium into the river, the Allegheny, or the Ohio. One of those 2, I think.
I think it's the Allegheny. I'm pretty sure.
There you go. They hit the 3 rivers, right? Is not too far. There's a 3rd river that I can't think of the name of, but I'm being told in chat it's the Allegheny. There we go. I did not know there would be geography. Let's pivot. Let's talk about a little bit of food. Let's talk about today's tiers. You came up with today's topic. Not sure what inspired it, but I like it. I think it's a fun one. The chat's going to jump in here. TJ will give his thoughts as well, I would imagine. But you basically set it up. Do you want me to say it, or you want to go ahead and tell the people what your topic was?
Oh, I'll just say what inspired it, then you can break it down. But yeah, I read your message while I was opening the fridge, to look for a little snack, and then I thought, hey, let's talk about some food. And I think what could be the one meal that you could live with if you could only have one meal. That for some reason that came across my mind. So yeah.
Yeah, and we had some qualifiers as far as it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect your health either way. If we're not factoring that in, you can eat whatever you want. It's got to be the same thing. I imagine we'll have this conversation. I imagine you can kind of change things up. Like you can modify it a little bit. It's if you have cereal, like if it's a cereal, you can have a variety of different cereals. Just you can mix and match as far as the cereals. But let us know in chats. What is the one general food that you want to have for the rest of your life? I thought at first you were doing like like the jailhouse or like your last meal, that kind of thing. I thought you were going to do that. But I see Derek in chat say burgers number one. I didn't realize somebody told me that's apparently today's International Burger Day. I guess a lot of the apps are having like deals for burgers. If you're into that, I shouldn't say. TJ says cookies, which by the way is a funny answer. Yeah. There's nothing to do as far as health related. I guess he's just eat cookies at all times at every meal. Shrimp scampi seems like a contrarian play.
I think you also got to factor in, obviously health doesn't matter for this particular hypothetical, but I think being full does. So like what will fill you, like what will, have you full and what maybe won't carry over.
I would like to change my answer from cookies, even though that would be on my tier list, probably at like number 2, and go with potatoes.
But like just potatoes.
Oh, you're doing like tater tots. You want all the different varieties of the potato. Your French fries.
Yeah, all the potatoes. I got fries. I got a baked potato. I got hash browns, mashed potatoes,
sweet
scalloped potatoes. As long as I can add cheese to them.
Okay.
Well,
we'll allow it.
Loaded baked potato, you got to say. Well, yeah, I guess not. You don't always want it loaded necessarily, but
looking at the other list, I feel like I'm allowed fixins with my potato.
Zach is saying pasta. Yeah, pasta. Pasta's a lot of versatility there as well, I suppose. But Jake's saying they're surprised that TJ did not say poutine. I thought for sure poutine would be the chalk for TJ. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's part of the base. Yeah, fair enough. You get poutine as well. All right, so our board, we kind of agreed on this for the most part. We put this together jointly. Somebody said the number one. Several people put the number one in the chat. And it's probably pretty chalky. Pizza was number one, and you can have pizza in a variety of ways. New York style. You can have it like brick oven, Sicilian, thin. Detroit style, of course. I don't know if you rep the Detroit. Chicago style, New York style, Chicago. But so you can get different toppings to sort of change things up and keep it fresh. Chicken in the number 2 spots. Chicken's another thing, right? You can just get it in so many different ways, and you can fry it, bake it. I don't want to do the whole like Forrest Gump thing as far as all the different ways to do it. But and then cereal, just kind of like a variety of cereals. There's a whole bunch of cereals that are fine. So it's middle of the road. You said salad. Yeah, I think I threw a salad out there.
Yeah.
And you're not, again, health doesn't matter. And is salad delicious? I mean, it's most people just like kind of eat it. I guess if you throw all the nonsense in, it's not good for you. Like you throw like some meat and some eggs and cheese and dressing and all the things people like, then all of a sudden it's not that healthy. But yeah, so salad in the 4 hole, and I guess you've never had raw oysters before. I just threw them out because I went to one of those Southern boil whatever things, and maybe I had a bad batch. It's just not for me. It didn't take. I did not enjoy it. They're slimy. They're like gooey. And some people in the chat are not going to be happy about this. There are definitely going to be some raw oyster stands in the chat, but feel free to give your thoughts, Kyle, as we see what the chat has to say. We throw some teams and some tiers.
I think for what it's worth, keep in mind, you'd be eating oysters 3 times a day. Like you wake up, you're eating oysters. That's the thing. Like, what I think is like when I wake up, I could have pizza for breakfast. I could have chicken for breakfast. And you can do a ton of different things too. Like, I'm not trying to have raw oysters. I'm not trying to slurp down some oysters for a morning meal. So I think that's a thing that maybe is going underrated here. Someone said eggs. I love eggs. I eat eggs at least once a day. I could not do
a lot of variety
times a day. True, but I cannot do that 3 times a day. Like that, I don't know. I think it's just one of those, and I've eaten them once a day for like the past like 5 or 6 months. So I'm getting to my wit's end with eggs. I could not do it 3 times a day.
Depending on qualifiers, I feel like I could do eggs. Like if you're saying for salad, I could add meat and croutons and cheese. If for pizza, I can add all these different fixins, etc. Then if for eggs, if I can add milk and flour, then I'm down because I can make pancakes, crepes, waffles, and it would all of a sudden become a lot.
Yeah, I think
to do.
Yeah, I think that's I don't think we can make it a different. You can't like transform it into a different meal. But yeah, so eggs are the one thing. Because trust me, I like eggs as well, but I cannot do it. That's kind of one of the things that I cannot do that 3 times a day. Pizza I could do.
I think vegan found an incredible loophole. Eggs count as chicken. That's brilliant. You get eggs. It's a package deal. Well played there, vegan. And several people are saying steak. Now, I like to respect the tiers. I think steak is kind of a 1 tier, or like ribs is kind of a 1 tier. Like you can only put 1 in the 1. You know what I mean? That was like, sure, if you're going to power rank your top 3, but
I have a hot take.
Go ahead.
Ribs cannot be top tier for me. I cannot do that. Too much, too messy, too heavy. Like you're eating ribs 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah,
you're not moving around very much. I know health doesn't matter, but you're still. It would still make it still sit in your stomach. Someone said, "Who the hell eats 3 times a day?" Lots of
was
people.
Eric. That was Eric.
If you see Eric Johnson in chat, you just ignore it.
Most of the world, I think. But
I thought that was like I don't know. I thought that was standard. They have names for them and everything. Gumbo is an interesting one. That's Cheddar Bay biscuits. All right. Hey, whatever works for y'all. But yeah, that's why I didn't want to put steak or argue for steak or ribs necessarily. The 2 hole chicken's the perfect 2 hole spot, I think. All right. Anything else of notes, or let's go ahead. Let's dive in. We are going to throw the FanDuel teams in here. We don't know if that game's going to play, but you might as well just throw them in there and see how it works. Obviously, DK is ignoring that game. Their slate does not start for an hour and a half or so. Still waiting on some more lineups as well. We'll let you know when some drop. But first game, St. Louis and Baltimore. Again, FanDuel only. It's an 8 total. Cade Povich taking on Miles Michaelis. Baltimore is the slight favorite here. Rushman is back in the lineup for what it's worth. They have both catchers, huh? Rushman must be DHing because I see Handley's in there as well. So I'm guessing Handley is doing the catching and Rushman is probably DHing. That's my assumption. Cardinals, Orioles, what do you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to put the Orioles in the salad tier, and now I'm going to go with the Cardinals in the cereal tier. I think if there was no risk, the Cardinals would probably be in the chicken tier for me, but just with the added risk, I know normally I'll do these, assuming everything plays as fine, but it seems like there's a little bit more risk here, and there's not really risk anywhere else on the slate. I do like some of these guys here on the Cardinals side. Obviously, you have a good split situation here where you're facing a lefty who struggles against righties, and you have a few guys who are big right-handed bats, hit lefties well. Contreras, Herrera, Mason Wynn gets a little bit of added power boost there. Nootbaar hits lefties well, even though he's a lefty. And then you obviously have Nolan Arenado, who has been a little up and down, but got going a little bit recently in that Tiger series. Maybe he can keep it up. So Cardinals, I think, are fine, but again, I would probably like them more if there was no concerns for weather. So I'll say cereal tier. But if you were someone who's playing FanDuel and you wanted to take a shot on this, which would probably be a sub 5% stack across the board because of the risk, I don't mind having them a little bit higher. But for the risk, with the risk involved, we'll go cereal tier.
We got Tim upset, by the way. Tim saying oysters are fantastic. This list is garbage. So Tim lives in Maine. He probably
he's biased.
Yeah, he gets those Maine. The Maine oysters, I don't know. I imagine they're fresher. Lobster, I hear, is big up there as well, I'm told. Okay, let's move on. Reds, Royals, Hunter Green, Noah Cameron. I think 2 of the better pitchers taking the bump tonight. 7.5 total. Also 2 of the best shortstops as far as just for fantasy purposes. The players around them kind of stink. Ellie De La Cruz is really good for fantasy, and obviously Bobby Wood is spectacular. The rest of these guys playing in this game, who's your 3rd favorite player in this? Vinny P, Sal Perez. I suppose Vinny P gets a hold of one. Every once in a while, Hunter Green had that homer problem a couple of years ago. He used to serve him up, especially to the lefties, and he is pretty cheap. But I'm more on the pitching in this game than the hitting. What say you?
Yeah, definitely. I think both these teams are going to be in the raw oysters tier for me. I think you can make a case for saying, hey, let's bump up the Royals a little bit just because of the leverage that they get on a small slate. Like if you wanted to attack Hunter Green, but I think you can find that elsewhere. And like I mentioned, for me, I like Noah Cameron tonight. So if you're playing him at sub 10% for sure, maybe even sub 5%, you don't have to worry too much about ownership in the majority of your lineups there. Obviously, you still want to be cognizant of it, but that does take some of the stress of that off of the table. So I'll go both of these two teams in the bottom tier. I think, again, if you wanted to bump up the Royals a little bit just for leverage, if you're playing 150 lineups, I think you should for sure have some of the Royals just for that leverage. But for me, I'm going to put them in the bottom tier.
Rockies, Cubs, 8 total. Tanner Gordon taking on Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd, one of the more popular players on the slate. Pitchers, this Rockies team is horrendous. They have a 2.5 team total. The Cubs are minus 360 favorites, which is a huge number for baseball. They have a 5.5 team total. Still no starting lineup unless it just came out. What do we get here? We just got the Cubs. There it is, right on cue. Happ, Tucker, Suzuki, PCA batting cleanup, Kelly, Bush, Swanson, Horner, and Shaw. All right. Yeah. How do we feel about the Cubs? Again, I should mention, Roth is telling us, at least his weather edge. Let me give it a refresh. It's, I believe it updates every hour on the hour. I think that's what it says in the notes. Anything change here? No, it's still telling us that 56 to temp, 6 mile per hour wind coming in from left center. In 94 previous games, we've had 29% less homers, 12% less runs. So has not been the greatest environment for scoring runs or hitting homers. But the Cubs are really good. Can they overcome it? Where do you have the Cubs and the Rockies?
Yeah, so for me, unfortunately, I don't really impact weather in my model too much, as I haven't found like a super sophisticated way to do it. So I have the Cubs. They're usually a team that I have to manually account for that, but I still have the Cubs as the top projected team total on the board tonight. So they're going to be in the pizza tier for me. Love the spot for them. Obviously, they have a handful of really strong hitters, headlined by Kyle Tucker and PCA, or as some people like to say, MVPCA. Definitely in consideration. I had a Kyle Tucker preseason ticket for MVP, and over the first month or so, I was feeling great about it. And then all of a sudden, PCA comes storming ahead, and he's one of the best defensive players, obviously hitting with a ton of power. So it's like he's kind of handcuffing me there in terms of the MVP ticket. But also, obviously, you have Suzuki, Happ, Michael Bush, Dansby Swanson, tons of guys in this lineup that you can build around. So like the Cubs in the top tier for me. Last time I did the show, I had the Colorado Rockies rated fairly high against a lefty here. That will not be the case tonight. They're going to be in the raw oysters tier. Obviously, Matthew Boyd is one of the consensus top pitchers in the slate. They're not facing Corbin, and they're not in Coors, so definitely not giving them any sort of love tonight. They're going to be a raw oyster team for me tonight.
Speaking of oysters, Ruthless Villain is saying that mentioning Rocky Mountain oysters. Are you aware what those are?
I am not.
Bull's balls. Fried bull's balls. It's like a Colorado thing, apparently.
I have an image in my head, but never had them.
I think it's an appetizer. I don't know. I've never had them before either. I was in Colorado, but I feel like it's more
appetizing.
Would you give it a shot? You give it a shot. I mean, you fry it up. Anything pretty fried up is going to be fine. At least you get a ceiling or floor.
I probably wouldn't give that a shot. I think the craziest thing I've given a shot was like squid tentacles.
Okay.
And
how was that?
Those weren't bad. I mean, they kind of tasted like chicken, but you could feel like the suction-y part of the tentacle, which I was not. I'm a big texture guy, so like something, like for strawberries, I don't even really like strawberries that much. They taste great, but the texture I just don't love. So the tentacles, the little suction cups, couldn't do it again.
You said you've never had raw oysters before. I feel pretty confident you would not like raw oysters. You got to if there's slurping involved. Yeah, it's gooey. I wouldn't recommend it. I despite Tim's best efforts to say that how upset he was, how much he likes raw oysters, but not for me. Toronto taking on Texas. Tyler Mahle, Paxton Schultz drawing the start. We're not exactly sure how deep he's going to go. Maybe he throws 50 pitches, maybe 55, maybe 40 or so. But and we're expecting Eric Lauer to be the long man. I know DK had that as well. He was expected to start earlier in the day. Nothing official there. Not that you're playing Eric, not that you're playing Lauer, but just wanted to put it of note. And it is worth noting, I guess, that Schultz is 4K if you are desperate for a pitcher punt and you can maybe get 10 or 12 points or something like that. We do have Corey Seager back. Smith, Langford, Seager, Young, Osuna, Berger, Garcia, Semien moved up to the 8th spot. Higashioka in the 9 hole there for Texas. Where do we have the Blue Jays and the Rangers?
Yeah, the Rangers just have to be one of the most frustrating teams in baseball. It's like they have all these guys who, on their own, profile as pretty good hitters, and they just cannot get anything going. Like it's dumbfounding. Truly, obviously, they had Corey Seager out for a while. He's back now, but yeah, I mean, Garcia, former World Series absolute hero, Wyatt Langford, former I think top 5 pick, Corey Seager MVP candidate, Josh Young, top prospect at one point. Like all these guys, and they just cannot get anything going. I still like them a little bit tonight. I'll put them in the chicken category. I will say profiling them is a little bit difficult because, like, you know, Paxton Schultz, how deep will he go? How much of Eric Lauer are we going to see? Personally, I would rather see them more if Lauer's going to be on the mound just against a lefty. I think this Rangers team will profile better against a lefty that I think is a soft tossing guy who doesn't miss a lot of bats. Lauer has had some strikeout success out of the pen this year, but I don't think that's anything that's long-term or something that we were going to continue to count on. But nonetheless, they're going to be in the chicken tier. And then for Toronto, I'll throw them in the cereal tier. Molly is one of those, volatile pitchers as well, up and down, inconsistent. And same thing can be said about this Blue Jays offense. So I think it's one of those scenarios where maybe you just catch the Blue Jays on the right night. They're definitely not a top stack for me, but I don't mind taking some stabs on them, especially if you're playing several lineups.
No Alejandro Kirk, by the way, for Toronto. Their number one catcher is not there. No Yankee lineup just yet. Should be coming out, 3 hours before that game starts. So they're not necessarily on the clock, but maybe at some point throughout the show, if not our show, but crunch time coming on. I know we have Roth coming on a little bit early to give you guys some clarity when it comes to the FanDuel game. Not Cincinnati, St. Louis and Baltimore. First pitch scheduled 6:35, but they did announce a delay. So I'll give you guys some clarity if you guys are playing on FanDuel. And then after that, we have Kristi and Dave Potts, Cheese is Good, also coming on, taking you all the way home till the DK slate. Okay. And also Bo Bichette. That's right. No Bichette either. I was looking at that lineup, and yeah. So Toronto without, I don't even know if Bichette's good. Good name. He had good hair. He got rid of that. But yeah, Bichette not playing baseball for Toronto, at least not starting today. New York taking on the Angels. Kikuchi versus Clark Schmidt. We talked about the Ks that are available in that Angels lineup. No lineup just yet for the Yankees, but I presume one of the more popular teams on the slate. We know how incredible Judge has been. Kikuchi's like the perfect type of pitcher from the face, a lefty fly ball guy. You got to pay for it, obviously, but he is spectacular if you can get there. How do you feel about the Yankees and the Angels?
Yeah, Yankees I feel pretty good about. We'll put them in the chicken tier. Obviously, this is a team I mentioned. I made the joke earlier, outside of that minor league stadium, they are going to take a hit naturally. Also against a lefty, this is a team that in years past had been awesome against lefties when you had Stanton and Judge and whatnot. But obviously, the current situation probably prefer them against lefties. Against righties, but against lefties, Judge obviously looks incredible. He has he's hitting like 500 against lefties with like a 1700 OPS. It's like insane.
It's insane.
But his numbers are just monster. You can play him against anybody, obviously, but in this particular spot, if you're stacking the Yankees, you're clearly not doing that without Judge. You can play him on his own. Goldschmidt also looks fantastic against lefties since the start of last year. 223 ISO, 430 WOBA. Strikeout rate is down. So Goldschmidt and Aaron Judge both look like the two you'd want to start off with, but after that, it gets kind of weak against a lefty. So I think they're simply in the chicken category because of Aaron Judge and Aaron Judge alone. But I do like him quite a bit. For the Angels side, we're going to put them in the cereal category. Obviously, a lot of risk here, but they have a lot of power in this lineup. I mean, we've been seeing it time and time again, right? Where if you're following the MLB Home Run Twitter channel, which I highly recommend getting notifications on for that one, Logan O'Hoppe and Zach Neto, and at times Taylor Ward have been blowing up my phone at 11, 12 p.m. But O'Hoppe, I think, has like 14 home runs on the season. Zach Neto, I saw a stat probably 4 or 5 days ago. Over the last 162 games, at whatever moment that was, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, which is just crazy to think that he has that kind of home run production. He's one of like 7 guys, like Acuna, Otani. I don't remember the other names in the list, but very short list. Nido has been fantastic. Moncada's been better as well. So, you know what? I'm going to bump this team into the chicken category strictly because I do think Clark Schmidt's going to be popular and there's going to be a lot of leverage there. So thank you, TJ.
I pulled up Neto and his Savant page. He's in the 100th percentile for sweet spot percent, 95th for barrel percentage, 94th average exit velocity, X slug 98%, X WOBA 90th percentile. He's been awesome. He's been really, really good.
I do think it at least worth noting that since the start of last season, Clark Schmidt has been significantly better against righties. He has struck out lefties more, but better against righties. So it is kind of a bummer when you're looking at guys like Ohapi and Nido, guys who I like quite a bit. But still, I think the leverage is enough to really like this team.
Last game on the slate, it's Washington, Seattle. George Kirby, his second start of the season, wasn't particularly good. His first time around, taking on a Nationals team that is not particularly scary outside of what Abrams and Wood. Then it falls off pretty quickly. We talked about it last night. Cal Raleigh, big dumper. Just, doesn't matter. The ballpark is too big in Seattle. He doesn't care. I think he's got 19. Is it 19 homers now? It's a lot.
19.
And Trevor Williams is not a pitcher to be feared, not somebody that throws the ball past you. Almost a 5-team total despite that ballpark. Where do you have the Mariners and the Nationals on the tiers board?
Yep. All the things you said are part of the reason why they're going to be in the pizza tier for Seattle. I have them projected as the second highest scoring team on the slate tonight, just behind the Cubs there. So like that projection for them quite a bit. And when you're looking at just some of the numbers for this team, I think it's, again, worth noting that Trevor Williams does have some pretty significant splits. Very bad against lefties so far this season. Been pretty good against righties. Like much better, almost like a different pitcher against righties. So you're maybe feeling a little hesitant about guys like Rodriguez and Rosarina, but I don't think you're leaving them out of stacks. I think you're still plenty fine to stack those guys. But personally, leading these stacks with guys like Cal Raleigh and Jorge Polanco, also like Rowdy Tellez quite a bit tonight. So I think all those guys look pretty great. Definitely one of the top stacks on the board for me tonight.
To your point on Williams, pretty awesome versus righties this year, 94 at-bats, a 69 ISO. That is nice. Just a 24.5% as far as the K percent. That's pretty strong for him, especially when you consider versus the lefties. It's less than 14%. The ISO is at 216. The WOBA at over 400, 436 to be precise. So the ISO and the WOBA are really, really big. Lefties, that's the best way to get to him. And, of course, Cal Raleigh, 228 ISO this year, 354 WOBA against righties. Looks pretty prime. As a punt, I don't mind Rowdy Tellez. Spidey Bomb number 1, by the way, is PCA. Did not mention, but yeah, TJ is dropping Spidey Bombs. Keep hitting that like button. Subscribe and turn on those notifications, do all those things. We gave out I know we have Roth coming on here momentarily. Did you have any, we teased it. Did we officially say the ladder? We kind of talked about it. If you were paying attention, the people would know, but tell the people the ladder you liked in the old scores and odds.
Yeah, I think people might have a good sense of who it is, but yeah, targeting Noah Cameron in the prop markets today. Again, I think betting strikeout props is really difficult right now because the market is so sharp and these books are not afraid to just put insane juice on these pitchers. So I love spots like this where you have a guy with a fairly small sample that I feel good about from a positive regression standpoint. So I like Noah Cameron up to 8+ strikeouts. He was minus 110 for over 4.5 strikeouts. Love that number. Plus 190 for 6+ strikeouts, plus 420 for 7+ strikeouts, and then finally plus 800. That's Bet365. I know it's a pretty uncommon market for people to have, but it's plus 750 on FanDuel. So those numbers for 8+ strikeouts for Noah Cameron. And I already touched on all the stats as to why I think that there's positive regression coming for Noah Cameron's strikeout upside. But yeah, like that ladder tonight.
I got it at the Hard Rock, which is a monopoly here in Florida, the only book. I got it at 850 over 7.5, so I felt pretty good about that. 4.5, the number you talked about, was minus 110 or minus 115. That's like your standard number. By the way, just announced the Cardinals and the Orioles expected to start at 7:05. So, and that's I always forget because I know sometimes DK they'll like release players. If they happen to get rained out and there's more games to come, like they let you swap them in, swap them out. That was the thing they did. Are they still doing that? I know this isn't on DK, but I just never really know how that works. Do you know? And does FanDuel they do the same thing? It doesn't appear like that's going to be an issue. Roth will give some clarity in a second, but do you know the official policies? Have you read the terms of service? I know you're big on TOS.
Yeah, I'm not a big fine print guy. I know sometimes they'll push back that start time if it's the first one to start, but I think that's a pretty uncommon thing. So I think it'll need more time of advance warning. So I think at this point the slate will likely still lock at 6:35.
All right, let's see what Roth has to say. I do want to say all the bells and all the whistles we were kind of showing off. TJ, I guess, was showing off on the screen the tools. What wasn't exactly showing off Dave Potts' article and the expert rankings and the optimizer, but you can get everything for baseball for $425 for the entire season. However, you can have it all the other sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA, WNBA, NASCAR's a la carte. You gotta hit Stevie up for that, and the RotoGrinders up for that. But you get all the other sports for free. I believe it's 35% off if you commit to 6 months. Check out the link in the description. And I was talking about the scores and odds stuff. If you're in the underdog streets, if you're in the player prop stuff, feel free to hit that up. I think we have 50% off for the first month. Link in the description there as well. Roth, we just got an update. I'm not sure if you saw it just hit.
Yeah.
As far as the St. Louis Baltimore game, this is FanDuel only. Just for your it's not DraftKings. DraftKings is starting later, but this is in the FanDuel slate at 6:35. What can you tell us? 8 minutes, the official start time. Well, I guess it's moved back, but it was supposed to start in 8 minutes. But I guess the tarp is in the field. You tell me, where are we at?
You tell me. I don't know. I don't know why they late started. It was a really weird late start, and it kind of made me nervous. Like, are we, what? Why are we doing this? But I think they realize, like, why are they doing this? And so they're just going to play, because that's just get out and play in a couple sprinkles. Like, that's what they're going to do. It's what they should have done all along.
Did I make this up, Roth? Did I see that you wrote earlier today that these teams kind of agreed that, like, if we need to, we'll play tomorrow? And I guess that's not a thing anymore. That's cleared up, and now it's better, and we should feel like they're going to play at 7:05 without issue.
Essentially, based on the weather forecast as of last night, everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to get rained out," and they were talking to the teams, and they were like, "No big deal. We'll just play it tomorrow if we have to." But then, as of this morning, it looked like things were decent enough, and sure enough, it's fine. Then they late started just to make me nervous, but we're here. We're good.
We should have Kristi and Dave Potts coming in here shortly. I don't know, Roth. I bet you have a good answer for this. I don't know if you saw today's board. We didn't really kind of go back and give today's category, but I bet you have a good answer for this. It was Kyle's suggestion. You could have one food for the rest of your life. Now you can modify it a little bit and take one general food for the rest of your life. That's it. You eat nothing else, just that. Health is not a concern. Don't worry about health. You can have carbs. You want carbs. What is that? What is that one food?
If sandwiches count as one food, the answer is sandwiches, but that's pretty varied. If sandwiches don't count, it's eggs and all the variety of egg that you can do. I'm a big egg guy.
What you could say chicken, you can get eggs too.
Well, let's see if I get that, then that's all I eat anyways is eggs and chicken. So they're not changing much.
That was a suggestion from one of our chatters. That made a lot. Yeah, I was thinking sandwiches too, but I wasn't sure like a Cuban and then like a peanut butter and jelly. That's all the same thing. Those are sandwiches. You can have hot dogs, of course.
Well, that's a little bit more controversial, Dean.
Yeah, not of course. Dean, I do have an update on the bet that we made. Long ago, we made a bet. I donated $50 to charity, and I had to watch a movie of your choice. Tonight is the night. My wife is out of town.
Yes.
I'm so excited to have a night to watch whatever I want, and yet I have to watch Freddy Got Fingered because I lost this stupid bet to you.
Do the kids get to watch too, or are they going to bed? How does that work?
They're 3 and 5. They will not be watching Freddy Got Fingered. I don't know much about the movie.
I don't know how you're parenting. Some are,
just based on the name alone, I'm guessing it's not appropriate.
Is this like a scary movie like Freddy Krueger or what?
Oh no!
Oh boy!
No, it's Tom Green, you don't even know who Tom Green was. This was before your time, but it's just a terrible comedy. I think I don't know.
It's like a dumb comedy that it might be one of those that comes full circle and might actually be so bad it's good. I'm not sure though. Maybe we'll have Dave Potts.
You know what, Dean? I'll put it on the list.
To be clear, I wasn't endorsing it. We put it to Twitter, and Twitter they voted that that's what Roth should watch. Yeah, Tim in chat saying it's a family movie. I would not say it's a family movie, but depending on your family, I guess any movie could be a family movie depending on your ground rules. But all right, let's go ahead. Let's bring in Crunch Time. Let's bring in Dave Potts. Let's bring in Kristi. And Crunch Time's coming in right now. So dealer's choice. If anybody wants to endorse Freddie Got Fingered, or if anybody wants to, today's a poll question, not our poll question, but Kristi and Dave. You can have one food for the rest of your life. One food for the rest of your life. Doesn't matter how healthy it is, and it doesn't affect you in any particular way. You can get a little bit of variety on it as well. Dave, well, I mean, is it you can have ice cream? I'm not going to answer for you. You could have that if that's what you want the rest of your life. Every meal. What is it?
No, I think you have to go chicken. Because it's there's enough different varieties, and it's just like it's heavy enough but not too heavy. Like you can't say like steak or beef, like it's too that gets too much, even though it's better. But you need something with some protein and a little oomph to it. I think that's a no-brainer, honestly.
Chris, you see chicken, you want to raise them. What do you got?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking along the meat line too. Yeah, chicken is probably right up there. Roth, I heard your eggs too. I'm kind of intrigued by that too, because I do like eggs, a lot of different varieties. I like that too. Yeah, that's kind of a tough call, honestly.
We got anything else here, Kyle, before we step aside and make way for Crunch Time? I guess, well, first pitch, if you missed it, St. Louis and Baltimore, they're in a delay, but they're expecting to throw baseballs at 7:05. That's on the FanDuel slate only. DK slate starts for, well, I don't think you guys are going to make it to the DK final because 7:40 is first pitch. Roth, can you think you can go for about 70 minutes or so? You got 70 minutes in you?
No, actually, I do not. TJ is going to be taking over the latter part of the show because it goes too late. I got to put my kids to bed.
All right. I imagine you're probably not making the first pitch on DK, even the entire crew. But Roth, knock out what you can knock out. And, of course, TJ, producer extraordinaire, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Canada, is going to become a host as well, spinning all those plates. But myself and Kyle, we appreciate y'all watching the first portion. Hit that like button. Do not go anywhere. Roth and Kristi and Dave, they got you. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. It's two of the sharpest minds in the biz. Kristi, back at it again. It is always glorious to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I know, kind of fun to do back-to-back shows with the same crew. Another night. Yeah, no, a great night. Kind of a weird slate. Like you said, a lot of different slate starting times and such. But yeah, looking forward to hanging out with you guys again.
Okay. Looking forward to running it back as well. Dave Potts, Cheese is good in the house. What up, Cheese?
Not too much. Yeah. I don't know this at all, but I assume that Kristi just had so much fun yesterday. She kicked someone off. I don't know who it might have been.
That's right.
That's just my guess. She was like, that was great. Whoever's on is out.
For sure. You know it.
So,
yeah. How did that work? This literally, we never do back-to-back shows with the same crew. And here we are. Kristi, did you have to strong arm somebody?
Kristi kicked me out. She's always bullying me in various varieties.
I know.
She sends me hateful. Sometimes I just wake up in the morning to hateful messages from Kristi.
She seems the type. Yes, I can see it for sure. I did mention TJ is going to jump on a little bit later in the show. It's just my wife's out of town. My kids are coming home. It's just going to be too much chaos and a little too late for all that. Got to feed them, get them to bed. But while we are all here, we do get to do the things that we always do, and that does include a weather report. As we mentioned, Boston is now officially going to play. Weird late start, but we've got a start time at 7:05. Phillies game has already been postponed. Kansas City game is the only other game with a chance for rain, but models have really backed off on that rain in Kansas City. And I just think they get the whole game in with maybe a few sprinkles, but I think the chance of a delay is low, and I certainly think they finish there. And that leaves us with, pretty much quiet weather. Winds are again blowing in at Chicago. The last 2 nights, 2 games, we've seen that. And the winds were between 10 to 15 miles per hour in those 2 games. And the runs were suppressed and the home runs were suppressed. It's like 5 miles per hour tonight. So it's not the same level of winds blowing in Wrigley that we've seen over the past couple nights. So I do think that is certainly worth mentioning. And that's it. That's my whole spiel. So let's talk about your spiel, and that starts with some pitcher talk. Cheese, what do you want to tell me?
There's a bunch of we just don't know what's happening with these people, which is the reason why we're left with, not the only reason, but Matthew Boyd is chalk. Partly because he's facing the Rockies. That's probably the biggest reason, but also partly because he's like the only guy that doesn't really have question marks. Hunter Green is the best pitcher on the slate, like by a lot. But second start off the IL, and I don't know, he didn't look great in his first start off the IL. However, I think he's fine. Like he was still throwing 100 miles an hour. I think it's Hunter Green, and obviously his matchup is not nearly as good as Matthew Boyd's matchup. Again, that's why Matthew Boyd is the chalk. I do kind of think I prefer Green over Boyd. Like if you have the salary and everything else being the same, just give me the guy who is the better pitcher, even though the matchup's not as good. But I don't have any issue with Matthew Boyd being the chalk. I think he's a very good play. Plenty of upside. Everything would have to go terribly wrong for there to be any real downside. So totally fine with Boyd. I do prefer Green. Then we have more question marks up top. So Noah Cameron, I mean, he's 3 career starts. All 3 have been like real life good. Only one of them was DFS good. Like we don't know what his talent level is. I think he's definitely a good pitcher. But I don't think you really need him at this salary. He's kind of the guy that gets squeezed out for me. And then George Kirby, we also have no idea. It's his second start of the year. His first start was kind of blah. But all the stuff like the underlying like velocity and pitch time and all that looked the same as ever. So I think he's the same guy as ever, other than he's probably only going to get like 85 pitches. I would be stunned if he gets, 95. So there's not like a huge ceiling. He's not a huge ceiling guy anyway. But he's the guy who's too cheap on FanDuel, I think. I definitely prefer him there. But so if salary allowed me to just play Boyd, Green, and Kirby, I'm good with that. But then Clark Schmidt is a little bit cheaper, a little more risk reward in the matchup. But there's enough strikeouts in the Angels lineup that even if they hit for some power, I think he's good. So he's the 4th guy in for me. That's really honestly the whole pool for me, other than I have like one Trevor Williams lineup, not because I like Trevor Williams, because that's the way you can get like the high end Cubs or Yankees stacks. And now we should also mention we don't really know the pitching situation for Toronto. It was originally Eric Lauer. Now they have an opener who's more of a long opener. Presumably Lauer comes in, but I don't think you can play Lauer right now because he might not even pitch. And it's not like he's great if he does. So I think he's out. I wouldn't even say you're totally out of your head. Out of your head?
Out of your head, Cheese.
Who says that?
Out of your head.
Paxton Schultz for $4,000. He'll probably get 3 innings, could get 4. There's a world in which he gets 5. I think 3 is more likely, but he's a $4,000 pitcher on a slate where everything under Schmidt is pretty nonsense. So $4,000 nonsense is as good as $6,000 nonsense. I think that's it. If you have salary, I would just play Green, Boyd, and Kirby. If you need a little bit, I would play Clark Schmidt. If you need a bunch, personally, I would do Trevor Williams. I don't have any Paxton Schultz lineups. If I was doing another 20 lineups, he'd probably sneak into one just for a laugh.
Okay. Kristi, I'm intrigued. It seems like we've got a lot of options, a lot of thoughts here. What are you honing in on, and where are you kind of drawing your line in the sand?
Yeah, exactly. We talked about Cheese has talked about Matthew Boyd and being very chalky tonight. I definitely think that's the case, but I think it's chalk that I'm kind of willing to eat tonight too on both sites, just because just gets the best possible matchup, and a lot of strikeouts to be had there. Good price point on both sites too. So I like that a ton. I also, agree that Hunter Green too, he's just coming back, but the upside is there. He's had a great strikeout rate to start the season. So I like that as well. I do think for saving money, I don't mind taking shots on Clark Schmidt over on DK, just because, again, you can get a lot of different bats, and yeah, it's a little risky, but I also think he has the potential to get some strikeouts. I also do like pivoting a little bit to Noah Cameron, and he's expensive. So he's 8,800 over on DraftKings. He's more than Matthew Boyd too over on FanDuel. But I do like him as an intriguing option, just to kind of pivot off of Matthew Boyd, especially if you're playing more than one lineup. So, for 20 entry max or so, I like having a handful of Noah Cameron lineups in there. So I do have him in my pool too. For me, Boyd, Green, Schmidt, Cameron, George Kirby. I know Cheese mentioned him too. I think he's just fine too, but Matthew Boyd is the one for sure. I'm definitely eating the chalk there because I think they're, even though it's a smaller slate, I still think there's some good stacks and bats to get a little bit different that we'll get to when we kind of go around the horn and talk some stacks.
I am a little disappointed you did not mention a 4K dude, a couple 6K dudes, or is it one 6K? Yeah. No interest in the cheaper pitchers.
Well, I should mention, he talked about, just, min price there, Paxton Schultz going 4,000. Absolutely. Take a shot on him because like he said, there's ways for him to, get more than a few innings in there. It's definitely possible, but yeah, he might be just what you need. And then you can get with the Cubs being on the slate tonight, with the Yankees being on the slate, there's a lot of high end bats. And so you're exactly right. I think he is somebody that you throw in there and pair him with a Matthew Boyd and, just make sure that you get all the good bats in there. And I think that's a very intriguing way to go to.
Okay. Very interesting. Let's flip it and talk about some of the stacks you mentioned. You got the Yankees, you've got the Cubs, even in not ideal weather. What are your favorites as you look at these stacks, Kristi?
Yeah. So one other that I would throw in there too, Seattle. And I know we talked a little bit about them last night on the show too. Just, they've, and Cal Raleigh does not disappoint. I mean, the guy has just been absolutely phenomenal.
Did disappoint. He only hit 2 homers. That's a little
true.
A little low for him. Honestly,
expecting 3 the first time I rostered him all year. But
the expectations are so high for the guy. Yeah. Absolutely. So I love, getting exposure to him, Jorge Polanco, the whole stack. Obviously, the lefties are better. You can get Crawford in there, even Rowdy Tellez to save some money. So I like that quite a bit. The Rangers are checking in as a good stack too, and there's some good value pieces in there. Obviously, Langford looks good. Corey Seager is back into the lineup, which is awesome. But then they've got Ozuna, who's very, very cheap. The prices have come down on them quite a bit that you can pair them pretty well with like the Cubs or the Yankees or even the Mariners. So I have quite a bit of interest in them. Those are the probably ones I'm concentrating on the most tonight. I think Kansas City, you could throw them into the conversation too. I'm just not as interested in them, but they are cheap and you could, Witt is obviously always a great play, but Cubs, Yankees, but Mariners are probably one of my favorites actually. Just the way it looks, and then throw Texas in there as well.
Okay. Very good. Cheese, looking at these stacks. What are you doing, man?
Yeah, same thing. Like the Cubs and the Yankees are kind of obviously the top 2, but also obviously kind of really expensive. Mm-hmm. And they have to do a lot to be DFS winning teams. Like they're both at that price level where if they score like 8 runs with 1 or 2 homers, you don't necessarily win with that. I mean,
right.
And that's a tough spot to be in. So I'm not really over the field on those teams. Like I think they're great. But same thought as Kristi. Like I really like Seattle and Texas for the salary, just as much. The Reds Royals game is really kind of weird, and it feels like you probably don't need anything there, but it's also one of those just gets overlooked. And probably the pitchers are both good, but maybe Green's still hurt, or maybe Noel Cameron doesn't have strikeout ability. We don't know. The other team, well, I guess there's more than one other team. I think Toronto, the Angels, and even a little bit of Colorado Rockies is viable. Just because the way the slate is, if the Cubs and or Yankees don't go just nuts, then it probably doesn't take a ton to win if you get the right one-offs around them. Like if you see like the Angels and the Rockies and the Blue Jays, like those 3 teams could all score like 4 runs, but on 4 solo homers, in which case that stat could actually be the winning thing on a small slate. So I don't mind them.
So I was here thinking like, oh, you might not need 10 runs to win it all, but you're saying your stack might even be able to come in lower than that. You could still take down a tournament.
Yeah, that's kind of how this slate looks.
Okay, interesting. Eric says Cheese back in the Rockies. Let's go.
I mean, sort of.
Yeah.
I do think they should hit a couple home runs. Like that's kind of all I can say about it. But they're cheap enough that a couple home runs, even if you have a bunch of them, is probably enough.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting stuff. Let's go around the horn, talk position by position. Cheese, you get to lead us off with a little catcher talk. Kyle Raleigh. He's on the slate. We're playing him. We know it, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, he's an absolute superstar. Play him. If you want to goof around and not play the best player, it's interesting that Esquera is in for the Yankees. It gives you another cheap guy. Travis d'Arnaud is also in for the Angels, and Higashioka in for Texas. So I think it's probably you go really cheap if you're not playing Raleigh. I mean, I have no problem with O'Hoppe, Carson Kelly in your stacks, Hunter Goodman, mid-tier. It's all fine. But Cal is so much better than all of them. If I'm not playing him, I'm mostly saving money.
Yeah, fair enough. Kristi, you kind of along the same lines there. Spend up for the top dog or punt it.
I am. He has been so worth it. And you just look at his numbers. I mean, it's just, he's right up there with, the Judges, Otanis of the world, 323 ISO and 403 WOBA, 19.5% barrel rate. So his numbers are so good that, if I'm not playing him, the guy that I probably have the most interest is Esquera, now that we know that he's made the Yankees lineup just to save some money. So that's kind of where my interest is. But I think it's kind of a pay up for Raleigh night, just especially as much as I like the Seattle stack tonight.
Okay. Take me to first base, Kristi.
Yeah. So first base, got some options here too. I mentioned in that Seattle game, if you're looking to save some money too, which you might need to, with some, if you're trying to get Judge in there too, you could play Rowdy Tellez. He's a fine play. Jake Berger is projecting very well in the Texas lineup. I think he's batting 6th. So some interest there. Vlad Guerrero looks pretty good to me as well. He's somebody I have interest in. Pascatino, he's still just 3,400. He is going up against Green tonight, but his price is right. And so, if Green is still hurt, I certainly don't mind that play at all. And then, Cheese brought up such a great point about the Rockies. And I remember distinctly a show where you kind of even had like a Michael Toglia home run call, so there's guys like Toglia that I think he could hit a home run. He's just 3,200, Ryan McMahon. There's a couple of those guys that project decent to get some home runs. So I kind of like that call there too. He's somebody, I think that's a fine play. Michael Busch, I'd also throw out there too. He is 4,700, so he's a little bit more expensive. But if you want exposure to the Cubs or trying to stack the Cubs, don't mind him. And then obviously Paul Goldschmidt is a great play. Both he and Judge look very, very well tonight. Look very, very good tonight, and he's just 4,500. Those are kind of the guys I'm most interested at first base tonight.
Okay, great stuff. Before I get Cheese's thoughts here, I want to read this just in case Kristi didn't see it in the chat. Hey, Kristi, really enjoyed your video with Tambo on Mastermind. It was a fun watch.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
Nice.
Okay. Apparently, I need to check this video out. Cheese, your thoughts, please, at first base.
Rowdy is my favorite play for the salary. Even not for the salary, like I like him a lot. Jake Berger is an interesting cheap play as well. Goldschmidt, Michael Busch more so on FanDuel where he's a lot cheaper. Yep. And that's kind of it outside of stacks for me.
Okay. Take me second base.
I would rather not. Is that one of the options? I mean, it's always bad. It's especially bad on this slate. FanDuel second base is fine because you had Matt Holliday. That's Matt Holliday. Jackson Holliday. That's passed now. But Jorge Polanco's second base eligible, which is kind of a big deal. on FanDuel. So DraftKings, like, there's quite literally not one single second baseman that I have any interest in playing at all. Like, if you were given the option to just take a 0 and not spend salary, I would definitely take the 0. So this is simply someone in my stack, or like just play Ernie Clement or the Boyne of Mastro, and just go with the cheapest thing you can find.
Yeah, not great. Okay, Kristi, is there anything here that you are like, well, this isn't that bad, or no, it's really that bad?
I know it is tough. This is where I've struggled too. Like I said, FanDuel definitely had some better options with both Polanco and Holiday. And if you're over
which Holiday though? Which Holiday?
Yeah, yeah, Jackson.
I didn't expect to say that, but I like it.
Exactly, Jackson Holiday. You could throw Marcus Semien in there. I mean, he's batting 8. He's gotten booted down in the Texas lineup. If you needed to save some money, I guess you could get to there. I have found him in a couple of lineups for sure. But yeah, it's a pretty ugly position. Don't really get excited about DJ LeMahieu at 3,600. Nico Horner, I think, is projected to be one of the higher owned plays. India is too. But yeah, I've probably landed a little bit more on Marcus Semien than I want to. Just because Texas is cheap and they kind of fit with some of the bigger bats.
Yeah. Okay. Then you get to bring us to third base, Kristi.
Yeah. So third base, Jorge Polanco, talked a little bit about him. He's been great. He's just 4,400 over on DraftKings. Like him on both sites, even though FanDuel has obviously locked. Josh Young, just 3,800 in those Texas stacks, looks really, really good. So I like him quite a bit. Let's see, you've got, if you're looking to save too, you could get to some of the Yankees cheaper bats here. Peraza would be fine if you're looking to punt. I would also throw Ryan McMahon in there. He does have home run upside. He's going to carry hardly any ownership at 3,700 and kind of just the cheeses points, just kind of looking for some home run options. Potential in that lineup. Yeah, a lot of Polanco for me, a lot of Josh Young. I like Seattle and Texas, just like Cheese, a couple of my favorite stacks. Matt Shaw's okay, just not for a one-off, but if you're playing some Cub stacks, don't mind that. And like I said, yeah, otherwise maybe some Ryan McMahon as a one-off.
Okay, Cheese, I feel like you're in agreement.
Yeah, I have a goofy ton of Josh Young and Jorge Polanco.
Yeah.
It's not that they're just like the greatest players in the world. It's just that there aren't good plays around them. It's like if you take them out, it's like second base all of a sudden. A little bit of Yohan Moncada in that price range as well, but that's it. Just if it's a bad position, but there's a couple guys who aren't bad, just play them.
Yeah. Okay. Then let's go to shortstop. Maybe there's something a little more interesting. Eric says Ellie De La Cruz 6'2". He won't get played. Do we get like a lower owned Ellie?
Both Ellie and Witt are low on probably under 10%. I say they will get played because I know I'm playing both of them. But like JP Crawford and Corey Seager are the chalk, and that's all you need to know, that Witt and Ellie are great plays. I do like Seager a ton. I even like JP Crawford a pretty good amount. But yeah, anytime you can get some of the best hitters in the league, single digit ownership, do that. They're definitely my favorite one-offs. I'll say Ellie first and Witt second, but flip flop them any way you want. Volpe is probably my third favorite Yankees play. I'm not really using Polanco at short much. I mean, if I am, it's an accident because you can play him at third. Tovar, certainly one of those cheap Rockies that's playable. But I would rather use Rockies elsewhere when we have a position like shortstop where you got these great spend ups.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Kristi, your thoughts there at short, please.
Yeah, exactly. I too am not really playing Polanco at shortstop either. But yeah, I agree. What a great opportunity to get Ellie De La Cruz, Bobby Witt at under 10% projected ownership. I think that's fantastic. I love playing Ellie De La Cruz, just even as a one-off or in stacks, but I think that's awesome. I do like Volpe too. 4,500 on DraftKings. I just think he, especially in Yankee stacks, don't even mind him as a one-off either. JP Crawford obviously is going to carry a ton of ownership, but he's got a good price. So yeah, I've included him in my Seattle stacks. Didn't really talk a lot about Dansby Swanson. He's projected to carry a decent amount of ownership. Again, really just like him in the Cubs stacks, but they're really hard to get to tonight, just because Kyle Tucker and Pete Crow Armstrong, Suzuki, they're all so expensive. So it's really tough to get there. I don't see him being all that popular. But yeah, I'm in agreement. I guess you could maybe throw I'm not even playing Josh Smith tonight either with Seager back. Just unnecessary there. Kind of aligned with Cheese there. I don't think I have any other ones really to add. Tovar, I do think is fine, but I'd probably play like, I don't know, there's some in the outfield that we'll get to on the Rocky side too as more one-off, just because I think shortstop's a good opportunity to get a guy like Witt or Ellie or Corey, some of those higher price guys in tonight.
Okay. Did see this interesting note from John in the chat. He says Neto is outscoring Witt on the season.
Neto's really good. Like he's still super underrated. He's not as good as Bobby Witt, but he's very good. You can throw him in that mix of just good players that get no ownership tonight because of what the position is.
Yeah. Okay. Kristi, you get to bring us into the outfield. You mentioned maybe some cheapies there, but let's work our way all the way through. What do you like?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of intriguing plays here tonight for sure. You've got some of the Cubs guys that are looking to be fairly popular because you've got a guy like Ian Happ, who's the cheapest out of the Cubs at just 4,400. Suzuki, Tucker, they're all projected to be pretty highly owned. A guy that I like and have quite a bit of exposure to tonight is Wyatt Langford. He's just 4,900 in the Texas stacks. I like him, even like him as a one-off play. Tonight, we talked a little bit about Seattle, so I have interest in Julio Rodriguez, Randy Arozarena. I do like the left-handed bats a little bit better, but I'm not going to leave Julio off the stacks, and I like Arozarena just as much too. So those are all guys I'm getting to. I would also say, if you're looking to save some money, we talked a little bit about Ozuna in the Texas lineup. I think he's batting 5 again, if I remember right. And he's just 2,500. So if you're looking to save some money, you could throw Adolis Garcia in there for Texas. He's 3,900 in there too, just because both he and Semien have moved down in the batting order. They're not carrying as much ownership. On the Colorado side, I think you throw a guy like, Beck or Doyle in there as one-offs. I think they're fine options and not super expensive. Pete Crow Armstrong is up to 6K. Obviously a great play. And then, talked a little bit about Aaron Judge. He's expensive, 6,600. You've got Kyle Tucker, that's 6,500. Both expensive plays. You're going to need some cheap value in there to make that all work. But I do certainly like Judge quite a bit tonight. And I don't mind even playing him as a one-off and then mixing in, Texas or Seattle and kind of going that route. Also throw, even, Jason Dominguez, I think you can throw him in there too. He's just 4,200. Letty Tavares, I know he was popping in a few of the lineups when I was kind of running some projections earlier too. He's just 3,300 in the Seattle lineup. So yeah, those are the guys I'm looking. But I would say one of my favorites for sure is Wyatt Langford. Like him quite a bit, just since I'm playing quite a bit of Texas tonight, and then Julio Rodriguez in my Seattle stacks.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Cheese, a lot of options, a lot of choices. Are you narrowing it down to anything that you love?
I am going on my way to spend up. Very obviously Aaron Judge. Like if there's no salary cap, everyone would just play Judge, Tucker, and either PCA or Suzuki, and that's your outfield. And I agree, like Wyatt Langford is right there with them for me. So he's my highest owned because he's cheaper. But those expensive outfielders are fantastic.
Look at the Cubs real quick. We're looking at ownership. 4 of the top 6 projected owned are all Cubs. That seems wild.
Yeah, I don't think it'll actually be that because of the salary. Like I think we're way over on Suzuki. and a little over on Hap. Hap will be pretty popular because of the salary, but those are not going to be that high.
Just gonna say the best one is the lowest projected owned of the group.
That ownership's just not right. PCA will be higher owned than Suzuki.
I think so too.
Okay. But yeah, certainly Judge and those Cubs are kind of the obvious, and anyone who has money is just going to play something from that group. After you get past those guys, plus Langford, Taylor Ward, Adolis Garcia, Varsho, and Santander, and Jason Dominguez, just all in that near 4K on DraftKings. I like all of them. Jordan Beck in that same range to be a little different. I'm not so keen on going super cheap in the outfield just because of how good the high end is, but Osuna is fine. I would much rather go cheap somewhere else and then just play those expensive outfielders, or at least the 4K range.
Yeah. Okay. That all makes sense. The people want some home run calls. It's what they're clamoring for all day long. They've been saying we need Cheese and Kristi's bomb calls. So think about that while I hit everybody with the best deal in the industry. DFS annual option for baseball, $425, but we dropped the price of our combo product to get all the sports for the same price, which is just crazy. Combo 6-month pro gives you access to content, tools, and projections for every sport except NASCAR at a cheaper price than the monthly package. And now is a good time to take advantage of that. Of course, if you're doing 6 months, you're going to get all the NFL stuff getting thrown in the mix as well. So make sure you're signing up for some RG Premium, and make sure you hit the thumbs up as well. TJ's given some home run calls. Spidey Bomb number 1, our boy PCA. Spidey Bomb number 2, Josh Young there at plus 550. Let's do some home run calls. Kristi, you will get the honor. Ladies first. What do you like?
Yeah, I would say at the top, my favorite is Wyatt Langford today. So going to that Texas game too. He's probably my favorite play. Picking up someone on the Yankees side, I'm going to go with Trent Grisham too. I like him quite a bit. And then a little bit cheaper, I'm going to go with JP Crawford on the Seattle side.
Very good. Cheese, your thoughts?
On the sneaky side, we'll do Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge. Combining for 5 homers. I don't know which one gets the 3. I do. It's Cal. But and we'll go Taylor Ward and Jordan Beck.
Okay, very good. TJ, Spidey Bomb. What is our Spidey Bomb report? What do we need here to get to a third Spidey Bomb? Because you know the people want it. The Spidey Bombs have been hitting. They've been bombing.
We did. We had Brandon Lowe at plus 570. Brandon Lau at plus 575 this morning. I will say, if we get up to 150 likes, I'll find a third one. But I will admit, the people I bet on tonight are Pete Crow Armstrong, Josh Young, Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh. And so there's not really one to add that I am personally doing. But if we can get 27 more likes, I will find one more one with nice odds that I can add to it.
All right. We'll have Spidey do a little digging there. We shall see. Let's answer some questions here. We've got a few of them coming in. Lock again is in 30 minutes or something absurd.
2 hours. It's bedtime.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I know.
We're probably not making it that long, but we will hang out here as long as the questions are coming in. So let's see what we've got. Bill T just saying, hey, supper tonight is delicious. Sole almondine with roasted broccoli and cauliflower. Sounds delicious.
What does that mean?
You've never eaten sole?
What is sole almondine?
You've never eaten someone's soul like Shang Shung?
I eat soles and almonds, but I don't know what all that is exactly.
I think sole is a very light, flaky fish. It's really thin, like a flounder, but even maybe thinner than that.
Okay, I didn't know it was a fish. Okay.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
I always struggle cooking it because it's so thin it falls apart, and I'm like, I don't know. There's not enough structural integrity here, but it's a thing. It's tasty. That there's not a lot of questions when we start with food talk already. Here we go. Cody says, Kristi, Polanco and Hap or Young and Julio?
Ooh, Polanco and Hap.
And that is Young of the JUNG variety.
Yeah. Thank you. I think I'm going to go with the first one. Polanco and Hap.
Good. Cheese, best second baseman. This is like asking who's the best meteorologist at sports other than me.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
right.
very literally, there is, I assume we're talking DraftKings. There is no best second baseman. Like, I mean that. There isn't one. I can't answer a question that I don't have an answer to. Like, I really honestly do not think there is one second baseman that you should play. So I'll go just simply cheap. I will say it is Ernie Clement.
Wait.
Oh,
I was just going to say, do you want to hear something crazy?
yeah, I do.
I'm going to say you should
Yeah.
play the near min price and make Ernie Clement the Spidey Bomb #3 at plus 900. That's what I was just popping in to say as she said.
Double Clement.
Love it.
Clement is
Clement it is.
There we go. All
He's
right,
the
we're
guy.
all
Let's
on board with a
I got a
terrible
feeling
second
Clement's
baseman.
hitting a home run tonight.
All
He's
right.
not a
That's
home run
awesome.
hitter.
All right.
tonight
By
he
the
is.
way, 2 home run Judge and Cal Raleigh. This is a bet. Geez, you may need to drive somewhere to get to a legal sports betting state to make this happen. 2 bombs from each Judge, and the big dumper is plus 47,000 if I've got my zeros right.
No way.
Yeah, plus 47,000.
No,
It's-
that's just free riches, man.
It's really
Yeah.
Captain America says I put $5 on it. So
Is it really 47,000? I mean, I realize 2 homers
That's
from 2
insane.
people is crazy. I'm like, is
think
it really
probably
that
plus
high?
4,700.
That I would believe.
That seems more exactly. That seems more likely. Yeah.
I mean,
if it's
I'm reading the
47,000, I will take a plane somewhere
Right.
right now. Where
It says
do you
plus
live?
four-
I'm
Where
Captain
we-
not-
America Bleed says plus 4,700 and 900. Confirm for us that we're not having differences of understandings of what odds mean. If you put $5 down there, are you
Like, they're
actually
gonna-
making about almost $300,000? $250,000?
I mean, I can read numbers. That's plus
I
47.
know what there's. I see
Yeah,
what they're
just-
saying. I'm just
I mean,
wondering if maybe
that
somebody
seems
else
like
is
a lot.
misinterpreting.
Okay. All right. We don't know. Anyways, I'm on board. I'm on
Yeah.
board. Parlay him. Make it happen. Let's see. So I'm glad somebody got my Mortal Kombat
What
reference.
if you
Thank
throw 2 Ernie Clements in there? What do you get?
Yeah.
That I'd like to see.
Yeah. You become like Elon Musk rich if you get that in the parlay. Shout out to Hustle and Dean who got my Shang Shun reference. Thank you. I'm glad somebody was there with that.
Yeah, it's $479 to 1. So it's like $5 for $2,395.
Okay.
Okay.
Not 200,000.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So that's
Yeah.
Okay. So
We don't have to get on a plane. We don't.
Never
have to get on
mind.
a
Yeah. We're all canceling our travel
That's not
plans.
plus 47,000. What he does not. Yeah, that does not
No.
mean plus 47,000.
No.
I don't
He's
know
plus
enough to
4,700.
All right. Cheese, Schultz and cash. This is a question from our friend Paul.
No,
No.
you don't need to. Like, there's not that much need for salary. Like, I don't know why you would do that.
Okay. We'll go to Peter. Kristi, this one's for you. Large field tournament. What do you think of the Nats tonight? Wood, Abrams, etc.
I don't mind that just because it's a small slate, and yeah, we didn't talk about them, but for large field, absolutely.
Okay. This is a question from loyal Discord follower and fan, Blink182. Kristi, a Mariner stack with a Rosarena and Seager, or a Mariner stack with Crawford and someone else? DK Largefield.
Oh boy. I think I'm going the first one, but I like it. I like where they're
Okay.
thinking.
Very good. Hey, it's me, Kevin. That's the name of this user, not me saying, hey, it's me, Kevin. Hey, it's me, Kevin says, Cheese, Crow and Judge, Calano Hoppy for both. I don't know what that means.
Read that again.
Crow and Judge, question mark. Calano Hoppy for both. That's how I read it.
I don't know what that means. I
right.
like all those players.
Sure. Yeah. All right. What do you think of the strategy, Cheese, of punting positions to fit expensive hot batters in cash games?
Say that again.
I just read what's on the teleprompter.
Yeah, do it again.
L2P John says, what do you think of the strategy of punting positions to fit expensive hot batters in cash games?
Okay. On a slate like this, where you have a couple positions with nothing, I like it. Like definitely punt second base.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's okay to punt even first catcher if you're not playing Cal. So yeah, on some slates I don't like it, but on this slate, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's see. Kristi, over to you. Alan says Cameron and Santander or Schmidt and Langford DK single entry.
Schmidt and Langford.
John says Kristi, DK Cash, SP2, Schmidt and a bat or Green?
I'd probably go Schmidt and a bat.
Okay. John Hansa in the chat says you might lament betting Clement. That's good. That's well done. That's well done. Mm-hmm. Yes, golf clap. Well done. Cheese Polanco and Hap or Young and Julio. We did that one. I did that one. Never mind it. Scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. Mr. Cheese, this, and I like when they address you as Mr. Cheese. Tech9 says, Dear Mr. Cheese, you've got one lineup. Who is your primary stack?
If I had one lineup tonight, it would not have a stack. But if I had to have a stack, assuming salary matters, I'm going to go Seattle.
Okay. Peter says, I like how Cheese lives in a high-rise downtown and has for years. He stays in the mix.
Quite a view, yeah.
But that's not...
And it's always nighttime. I mean, it's happening around here.
It's great. And did you get that the same time? That's like 11 years old, that backdrop. Right?
Oh, yeah. This came like the first day I ever did a show.
Yeah. Did it really? Oh, my gosh.
I mean, this is a long... It's been...
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I still have my Dallas backdrop somewhere back here from when I lived in Dallas. And is that actually your city or no? I forgot.
No, that's Birmingham.
Okay, which was the nearest city
nearest
they had a backdrop of.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Let's see. If they did like a skyline of Auburn, it would just be like this peaceful, tranquil setting. It'd be kind of nice, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, more. It looks different than Birmingham. For sure.
Yeah, it does. Let's see what else we got. Oh, I finally understood the question from Hey, it's me, Kevin. He was saying for both, he meant both of you answer the question. I'm sorry, dude. I missed that.
Oh.
What do you think about Burger on Burger Day, Kristi? This is from Bootleg Head Shopper.
Yep.
Burger on Burger Day.
Yeah, I do like him. Yep. In Texas stacks, absolutely, or as a one-off. Yep. Why
is it Burger Day? Do we know?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, inform me if this actually like go eat a hamburger day, because I don't need much convincing to drive to Five Guys right now. If there's an excuse, I'll do it. Kristi, right back to you. It's me. Breezy says DK Cash, Kirby Polanco or Schmidt Seager?
Kirby Polanco or Schmidt Seager? I think I'm going Kirby Polanco.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Cheese, is Schultz completely out of play? Was hoping for 6K first 6 batters before he gets pulled.
He's not complete. I mean, we both say he's not completely out of play. He's $4,000. Like
right.
You should not hope for 6Ks from 6 batters. You should hope that he goes 4 innings. Yeah, that's is
success.
Possible.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. It is International Burger Day on May 28th. Today is indeed May 28th, according to the Google. Thank you for Dean for doing the legwork.
Earlier question, Roth, that is ended up being what I had for lunch, is one of the burgers I barbecued yesterday.
Were you aware that it was International Burger Day when you had that burger?
I was not. No, I was not.
Does it make you want to add Jake Burger to your Spidey Bombs?
No, but it makes me kind of want to get another burger to win another burger tonight.
I approve of that choice. Let's see. We got a couple more questions coming in, and I think we're going to clear on out of here because we're doing good. Here we go. DKGPP Cheese, Schmidt and a one-off PCA, or Green and a one-off Langford?
Green and Langford.
Okay. Kristi, your favorite pitcher in FanDuel single entry?
I'm going with Matt Boyd. If I wasn't, second up for me would be Noah Cameron, but I'm going with Matt Boyd.
Okay. Brink in the Discord pointing out, in honor of National Hamburger Day, a lot of hamburger deals at restaurants going on right now. So that is, and I believe it was International Hamburger Day. So we need to ask, like, does that count in Canada, or does it not count for TJ?
Canada's international now.
Well, right.
They're in the whole world. They're in the whole
Believe
world.
it or not, there is a world outside of the United States as well.
I'm just
And
saying.
Canada, but Canada's in that whole world, in that whole umbrella of the world. Canada's part of that now.
Yes,
Is the
yes, we are there. Yes,
Interesting.
we had a
there.
meeting with the UN. We were originally in
Not
a like
international.
potentially may not exist situation like the planet Pluto, but we're back. We're back to
We
it.
made
now.
it.
We're back.
I'm glad. That's
Welcome
good to
back.
hear.
It's nice to have you.
Yeah. Well, a big fan of our friends up north.
That's right.
Peter says, Cheese, DK large field tournament, 4,400 left in the outfield. Who's your favorite? This may be the last question of the day.
I mean, like Hap is the best answer there, but if you're talking a one-off in a tournament, like maybe I wouldn't do that. I would probably prefer Dominguez. Yeah, I would.
Okay. Very good. Well, guess what? We've done all the things that we came here to do. Gave you some pitchers, gave you some hitters, gave you some home runs, went position by position, and we answered some questions. We are going to clear on out, maybe eat a burger. Even in Canada, they're allowed to do it. So we're going to bounce for Cheese and for Kristi and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been